Welcome to the red carpet.
Today we're going to list the top 10 movie stars of all time.
Ladies and gentlemen, live from Hollywood, California, welcome to the Red Carpet Review, starring the Showstopper, Shawn Valentino, also starring Rich Twilling. Today we review the top 10 greatest movie stars of all time, live from the red carpet. Watch The Bachelor Party on YouTube.
Hey everybody, Shawn Valentino, your host on the Red Carpet Movie Review. Today we're going to go on a journey through Hollywood history as we list the top 10 movie stars of all time. And in constructing this list of the biggest movie stars of all time, I looked at four major qualifications. Number one, star quality. And star quality is one of those difficult things to measure. It's kind of that blend of charisma, that certain it factor that makes a star a star. And it's really that inexplicable quality that draws audience to see them and gives an actor an iconic status. Number two, filmography. Not only do you have to have that star power, obviously you also have to have a range of great movies, an array of films that are going to stand the test of time. And you'll notice that all these stars on this list all have a set of iconic movies that we can still watch to this day. Number three, longevity and box office success. And if you look at the history of Hollywood, there's a lot of flash in the pans. There's actors that come along, they might have one or two great movies, they might be a star for a year or two, but then they just suddenly disappear. If you look at the biggest movie stars of all time, these are stars that have been doing it for a long time, and they have a proven track record of box office hits year after year. And finally, number four on this list of qualifications, and ironically, this might be the least important of all of this criteria, and that's acting ability and a range of great performances. And if you look at any list of the biggest movie stars of all time, you'll notice that a lot of the people on that list are actors that might not necessarily have a lot of range. They kind of play to their star persona, and that's really what makes them a movie star, so you can't blame them. But at the same time, all these stars on this list have given us a range of great performances that are going to stand the test of time. So now you know what makes a movie star, and we're going to start with number 10 on our list of the biggest movie stars of all time.
You'll learn to take life as it comes at you. Oh, here you go, Cal. To make each day count.
You're not going to tell me anything about this first?
Before I describe the job, I have to know you can do it.
Why?
It's not, strictly speaking, legal.
I probably could be you. Yeah, I know that much. But I don't want to be you, Frank. I don't want to be you.
And I've said it for years that Leonardo DiCaprio is one of the greatest actors of his generation. And he's one of those people that has all four of those qualifications that I listed at the start of this list. Not only is he an incredible actor, he also has that iconic star quality and that aura of mystery. And he's really had it for decades, and if you look at his filmography, it's really unparalleled. If you look at movies like Wolf of Wall Street, Titanic, The Departed, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Blood Diamond, Inception, it's very, very rare that you see a bad DiCaprio movie. And what I really like about him is he doesn't rely on a single franchise for box office success. He's had success in a wide array of different movies, and he's also had great performances, and he brings something unique to each character. And that's why I thought he was the perfect person to start off on the list of the greatest movie stars of all time. And interestingly enough, while DiCaprio is celebrated for his great range, the number 9 star on our list was really known for one specific type of character. But that doesn't change his iconic status, so without further ado, the number 9 movie star of all time.
Hold it!
Oh, steady, who?
Who'll stop me?
I will.
Let's go home, Debbie.
And John Wayne is one of the most polarizing figures in the history of American culture. But you really can't have any list of the greatest movie stars of all time without including John Wayne. He's one of those people that just had that iconic status, that majestic screen presence, that star quality that you really can't define. And obviously anybody that watches classic Hollywood movies knows that he's recognized as the ultimate American cowboy. And of course, Wayne was known as one of the biggest tough guys in the history of films. Number 8 on our list also was known as the ultimate tough guy.
He's looking at you, kid.
Yes, and I had hopes once, but I gave them up. Hopes for what?
A world in which there's no place for Johnny Rocco. The stuff that dreams are made of.
And just like John Wayne, Humphrey Bogart is one of the biggest icons of classic cinema, and his movies live on to this day. You can still watch films like Casablanca, The Maltese Falcon, Treasure of the Sierra Madre, Key Largo, and he's one of those actors that wasn't necessarily the best looking, but he had that certain charisma and he had that certain screen presence that really drew you to watching him. You really couldn't take your eyes off of Humphrey Bogart. And of course, Bogey had that voice that was just so unique, so iconic, and he delivered some of the most memorable quotes in the history of movies. And that's why Humphrey Bogart is number 8 on our list of the greatest movie stars of all time. And while we started out this list with 3 male movie stars, at number 7 on our list is one of the most glamorous leading ladies in the history of Hollywood.
Maggie the cat is alive! I'm alive!
I guess you're about the best looking gal we've seen around here in a long time. I think.
Yeah.
Don't.
This is nice. I don't want to spoil it.
You better tell me.
I love you.
And if you look at any list of the most beautiful women in the history of films, you always start off with Elizabeth Taylor. And her fame and appeal really transcended the world of movies. She was probably the most famous woman in the world during her time as the top movie star in the world. But not only was she beautiful, she was also a great actress. She won the Academy Award for Best Actress multiple times, and she also had some of the most classic films of that golden age of cinema. You're looking at movies like A Place in the Sun, A Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, Butterfield 8, Cleopatra, and speaking of pop culture icons that have given us a set of memorable movies that'll stand the test of time, on to number 6 on our list of the greatest movie stars of all time.
I love you.
I know. I don't know. I'm making this up as I go.
I didn't kill my wife! I don't care!
And obviously Harrison Ford has given us 2 of the most iconic characters in the history of movies in Indiana Jones and Han Solo. And if you look at Harrison Ford's box office record, it's really off the charts and it's really unparalleled. I think he still is the #1 box office draw in the history of movies. But I think some of Harrison Ford's best performances are the non-Han Solo Indiana Jones films. And I'm looking at movies like Clear and Present Danger, The Fugitive, Witness. He's not really given credit for having a great acting range, even though he is a tremendous actor. And he's one of those people like DicCaprio that fits all 4 qualifications. Even though he's known as an action hero, look at Harrison Ford's other movies and you'll see why he's one of the biggest movie stars of all time. Now Harrison Ford might have taken us to a galaxy far, far away. The number 5 star on our list is one of the most famous icons in the history of the galaxy.
All I want is a drink.
Leave it to me. I'll get you one.
Thank you, Mr. Fabian.
Well done. I can see your career rising in the east like the sun.
Oh, do you feel the breeze from the subway? Isn't it delicious?
But square cut or pear shape, these rocks don't lose their shape. Diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Now Marilyn Monroe might be the most famous actress in the history of Hollywood, and there's a reason why. When you look at Marilyn on screen, she's just the absolute definition of a movie star. She just has that inexplicable magic that you just can't take your eyes off her. You're hypnotized by her. And I think audiences felt that, and I think that American culture, and really the entire world, still feels that to this day. Obviously, Monroe had that tragic ending. She died young, which kind of helps her iconic status because she's now immortalized as forever young. But I think she's also kind of underrated as an actress. I think she's one of the best comic actresses of all time. If you look at some of her movies, you look at Some Like It Hot, 7 Year Itch is one of my favorite movies, Niagara. And in my opinion, Marilyn Monroe, the biggest female movie star of all time and the most beautiful woman in the history of Hollywood. And while number 5 was recognized as the ultimate glamour girl, number 4 on our list was known as the ultimate gentleman.
Because you'll never be a first-class human being or a first-class woman.
I'm an advertising man, not a red herring. I've got a job, a secretary, a mother, 2 ex-wives, and several bartenders dependent upon me.
Well, I'm not.
And like Marilyn Monroe, Cary Grant was the ultimate movie star, and he really defined that debonair, suave, gentleman type character. And Grant also starred in some of the greatest movies in the history of cinema. You look at films like To Catch a Thief, North by Northwest, Philadelphia Story, and it was really Grant's appeal and his iconic status as the ultimate Hollywood gentleman that made those movies work. And I think one of the greatest quotes in the history of Hollywood is when Cary Grant said, "Everybody wants to be Cary Grant. Even I want to be Cary Grant." And I think that Cary Grant left an on-screen image and an iconic appeal that every guy wants to live up to, including himself. And while Cary Grant was generally known as playing the perfect gentleman, the number 3 actor on our list was anything but. On to the number 3 biggest movie star of all time.
It's too late. They start shooting in a week.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody.
Traveling wears me out.
Well, take it easy. Not those cats.
Marlon Brando is widely recognized as the greatest actor in the history of Hollywood, and he really lives up to the hype. If you look at his filmography and his range of incredible performances over a long range of time, it's really unparalleled. You're looking at movies like On the Waterfront, A Streetcar Named Desire, Last Tango in Paris, Julius Caesar, Godfather. And Brando's one of those actors that completely changed Hollywood. He was one of Hollywood's rebels, along with James Dean and Montgomery Clift. They brought a more naturalistic style of acting into Hollywood. One of the biggest movie stars and one of the greatest actors of all time, the incomparable Marlon Brando. And while number 3 on our list was known for being a tough guy rebel, number 2 was the ultimate everyman. On to the number 2 movie star of all time.
You'll see the whole parade of what man's carved out for himself after centuries of fighting.
Because now I know that we are each of us a separate human being, Brandon, with the right to live and work and think as individuals, but with an obligation to the society we live in.
Every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
That's right. That's right. Attaboy, Clarence.
Jimmy Stewart might have been the most likable actor in the history of movies. And Jimmy Stewart was one of those rare actors whose star power and whose success lasted for decades. He started off as being the ultimate muse for Frank Capra with movies like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington and obviously It's a Wonderful Life. Then he did an incredible set of Hitchcock movies like The Man Who Knew Too Much, Rear Window, and the very underrated Rope. Definitely check that movie out. One of my favorite Jimmy Stewart films. And like John Wayne, he was also one of the great Western stars of all time. And one of my favorite Westerns was The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. If you look at his range of performances, his incredible filmography, and his level of success that he had for decades, I don't think we can deny that Jimmy Stewart belongs on any list of the greatest movie stars of all time. And while Jimmy Stewart may have been known as the ultimate everyman, the number 1 movie star of all time is anything but. He's known as the man that every man strives to be and that every woman wants to be with. So here's the moment we've all been awaiting, the number 1 greatest movie star of all time.
So you're the one.
Yes, ma'am. All right, gentlemen, we have a hop to take. The hard deck on this hop will be 10,000 feet. There'll be no engagement below that. Move it!
I think I'm entitled. You want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
The fact that you prevented it from happening doesn't change the fact that it was going to happen. You ever get any false positives?
I love him, and I don't care what you think. I love him for the man he wants to be, and I love him for the man that he almost is. I love him, Laurel. I love him.
you were to ask every person in the world to name one movie star, I think the first person that most people would name would be Tom Cruise. And Tom Cruise has reigned as Hollywood's top gun for decades now. And if you look at the history of movies, there's never been a star that has had the longevity of success as the world's top movie star for as long as Tom Cruise. So he's really unparalleled. And he's one of those people that has what Marilyn Monroe had, and it's that magical charisma and that it factor that's just completely off the charts. If you look at Tom Cruise, can you imagine him being anything but a movie star? He's the absolute definition of a movie star. And if you look at Cruise's career, which has lasted almost 40 years now, it's rare that you'll see a bad Tom Cruise movie. And if you look at his range of performances, like Born on the 4th of July, Magnolia, A Few Good Men, you'll see that he's also a great actor too. And right now he also might be the greatest action star of all time with that Mission Impossible series. And has anybody in the history of movies given us more iconic moments and magical movie moments than Tom Cruise? And if you take his star power, his charisma, his longevity, his incredible set of movies, his underrated acting ability, and just that it factor that's just completely off the charts, we'll never see a guy like this ever again in movies. And that's why a lot of people call Tom Cruise the last movie star, and that's why on this list he is the #1 movie star of all time. Tom Cruise, the greatest movie star in the history of Hollywood. Thank you so much for watching this magical journey through the history of movie stars. Be sure to click that like button, press subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the red carpet.
Watch The Bachelor Party on YouTube. Thank you for watching the Red Carpet Review. Proceed to click that like button and press subscribe for weekly movie reviews past and present. We'll see you soon on the red carpet.